Hey, 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 everybody. We're back. I can't sleep. Give us a minute. There we go. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I hope you're joining us tonight. I know I didn't do a video reminding everybody, and last week we had technical difficulties, y'all. We just couldn't get it right, but that's okay. We got a treat for you. We're going to go back to what we were supposed to discuss last Monday. And we're going to give you another video this week. We're going to go live again this week. And it'll probably be either between Thursday. We're going to give you another video this week. We're going to go live again this week. Give us a minute, y'all. Okay.
Woo, y'all, help us, Holy Ghost.
I hope y'all praying out there for us. Please do.
No. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, y'all. No excuses. We've been working on it, and I tell you what, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. And thank you for your grace. Thank you for your grace, because we're working at it, and we're not gonna use age as an excuse not to get things done. We're gonna get it done.
Amen. Amen. If you're just joining in, I'm Alicia.
Milo, good to see you again. We're the Briscoes.
From Fruitful Family.
Fruitful Family. How about that? Come on, we've done this before, so let's act like we've done this before.
Amen.
All right, come on.
This is our transformation study on balance. If you have been following us, we have been doing the book of Balance by Teray Roberts. It is very, very good. We all could use some work in our balance, okay? So, and he gave us a different perspective on balance. He defined it more of a place opposed to a thing. Because it is a noun. It could be a place, it could be a person could give you balance. But he is specifically talking about balance being a place mostly, and how we get to that place. What do we do to get to that place? How often we should be going to that place. And then he also talked about there's no team in I. So encouraging us to have our me time, encouraging us to have balance first within ourselves. So once we have it within ourselves, then we can share it in our relationships and everywhere else.
Absolutely. And that's something that you and I have been talking about lately, probably even before this book.
Yes.
But this book was a good resource, if you will, to help us, in a good tool to use to help us in working towards that balance. Because I remember there was a time when you had a daycare in the house and you had kids in the house. We were in a townhouse, and I come home from work and you just have so much going on, and I'm like, you need to take some time for yourself. And that happens to all of us, y'all. I mean, sometimes circumstances we look at it as outweighing what we should be doing and what we need to do for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that's what this tool has really helped us to focus more on, as opposed to doing all these things here and there and not giving everything our full, because we're not balanced. So we give 10% here, 20% there, and not giving our full selves to things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just like you said, giving your full self. I know a lot of times people always, especially if they're married and they're in a relationship, and they be like, oh, where's your better half? And I'm like, I don't have a better half. I have a better whole. Because I need a whole person to be in a relationship with me, and I need to be whole. So that's what we're doing in our transformation study class, studies that we're bringing out to you.
And we want to say, hey, Kelly, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kelly. Kelly was so instrumental last week. She was trying so hard to get us online.
Get us balanced.
Yes, she was really trying to get us out there, Kelly. We thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much.
Even though we didn't make it out there, she was really trying. Milo was out of town and I was here, and so we was trying to get us both online at the same time, and we just couldn't get it together. So we didn't want to just put anything out. We want to make sure that we're giving you quality when we put something out. We don't want to just get on and just you know, just to say we got on and check a box.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So tonight we're going to be talking about chapters 3 and 4, which is chapter 3 talks about what the soul craves. So it's basically your balanced diet that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And chapter 4 talks about the gift of rest. And a lot of times we didn't realize that rest was a gift. I don't know about you, but I know I didn't. So we're going to kick off tonight with chapter 3 about the balanced diet, which means what does the soul crave? And one of the things that the author said here, he said, discovering balance requires a certain sensitivity to and awareness of the soul and what it is longing for. At any given moment in time, it takes practice and self-awareness to listen and take your soul's longings seriously. I thought that was so profound because, first of all, let's just break this down. When we're talking about our soul, we're talking about our mind, our will, and our emotions. Okay. And so all of those things crave something at any given time. And sometimes we don't pay attention to them. Especially right now, I'm doing a study about emotions, and I didn't realize for so long I had been ignoring my emotions. I did not know how to express my emotions outside of the general emotions, which was either happy, sad, mad, glad, period. That was the extent to my emotions. So anytime I went through something, I would throw it in one of those categories. But therapy, promoting therapy, you guys, therapy is your friend. So in therapy, my therapist taught me about a feelings wheel.
Okay.
And this feelings wheel is similar to if you've ever looked at the food pyramid or whatever, it has the different levels.
Right.
Okay, a feelings wheel has different categories of emotions, and then it expands out into 3 layers. So it gives you the general, then the next layer, and then it goes even deeper of those emotions. So one of my homework assignments was to really pay attention to my emotions and not be so generalized with them and sit with them. So as I've been doing that and reading this book, now I understand that my soul craves for different things because of the emotions that start stirring up and coming out of me at any given moment. You know, say, for instance, I know I didn't get enough sleep, so then the next day I'm cranky, I'm short with people, I don't want to be bothered, or I might be quiet, reserved, or whatever have you. And it's like, okay, why is that? Just because you didn't get any sleep? It's a little deeper than that. And you need to sit with it until you find out what is that emotion needs. It either needs more of something or it needs less of something. Okay. I
like that.
So when he said this really helped me to start listening to my soul, not just my emotions, but even with the emotions, it dictates your will on what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, and how you're going to do it. Also, it dictates how you think about it. You know, so when we listen to these things, when we sit with our emotions, it allows us to make a conscious decision when it comes to our will. It allows us to make a conscious decision when it comes to the thoughts that comes through our mind and why they come in through our mind like that. And it may take you to your past. It may take you to some trauma, whatever have you. Whatever the case may be, you need to listen to it and not just push it aside until you can't deal with it anymore. And then you have those people, you know, that they said that last straw, put that last straw on it, it broke the camel's back. That's because you didn't listen to your soul when it was trying to tell you, I need something.
So what I'm hearing you saying, correct me if I'm wrong, pull on that emotion thread a little bit. They're indicators.
Yes.
Emotions are indicators of something, and we got to identify what that something is.
Absolutely.
That's creating that emotion.
Yes.
Okay. And I think what we're talking about now when we talk about balance is getting away and get that time so you can identify certain things from time to time.
Yes.
As opposed to just allowing things to go. And I hope you don't mind, I want to kind of segue into what he was talking about in this third chapter. And he starts off with, there was times when I knew I needed to get away for some alone time, but I ended up dragging my feet, putting it off for weeks, and because I was too busy.
Yeah.
And we can all attest to that.
Yeah.
You know, your body is calling out, as well as your emotions are calling out. Okay, I'm identifying something. I know when I'm going too much, get a little tired, I get cranky.
Yes.
That emotion, I get a little short tempered. And those are indicators that, okay, you're out of balance right now. And that's what he's saying. That was a time I was doing this and I was doing that. He said, although I needed a getaway, feeling the urge deep down, my business responsibilities and opportunities caused me to override my internal longing.
Yes.
So he identified, he knew that deep down, he knew there was a desire to get away. He knew he needed to get away.
Yes.
And we all can attest to that. We got so much going on. I need to, and then we make the excuse, I just don't have the time.
Yes. Yes. And that be the thing, excuse. That's the key. We have excuses. Either we don't have the time, we don't have the resources, we don't have, it's always what we don't have. But it's so many things that you already have that you can do.
Yeah.
You know.
What what I liked about what he was sharing here, he shared some effects from being out of balance and being where he was at that time. He talked about being impatient. I can attest to that, boy. Boy, let me be out of balance and get behind the wheel of the car. Glory. Anyway.
Whiplash, y'all. Whiplash. I'm trying to tell you.
But he says, but he also talks about thoughts not thinking clearly declines, and I can attest to that too. When you're out of balance.
Yes.
Adrenaline starts to run out. You know that your battery decreases a lot faster. You know, memory starts slipping. You got so much going on, you forgot, I'm supposed to do this. Even, hey, look, you have a calendar and still miss something.
Absolutely. You are so true.
And it says not as sharp or innovative. So it takes away some of the creativity that you may have when you're out of balance.
You know, one of the things that you said, you kind of paralleling. I think that's how you say it, paralleling. If that's not the word, I've just made up a new word. But he's comparing us to a vehicle when you think about it, because you talked about a battery.
I talked about a battery.
In most cars, every car has a battery. I don't care if it's electric, gas, whatever, it has a battery. And these cars, those batteries need to be recharged or replaced or whatever. Guess what? We have those same things within us that need to be recharged. Maintenance needs to take place. Yeah. And our maintenance our battery is basically our soul, because that's that central unit that's controlling everything. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. As far as your will, your mind, your will, and your emotions. That's your almost like your CPU for my techies out there. So in the event, if you're not given the proper maintenance, if you're not doing regular checks and balances and putting things in place, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to run out. Yeah. You're going to go on empty. Like you said, just like he said, you're going to get frustrated, impatient, Oh, what about them headaches we be getting? And we be talking about, oh, I'm just hungry. And then you get something to eat and the headache is still there. Yep. Oh, I just need some sleep. You take a nap, you wake back up, and guess what? The headache is still there. Yeah. That's not it.
And the thing about it is, it's not a thing that what you have to do is not important. Right. But you got to prioritize. You have to prioritize. And one of the priorities, and I like what he says, and when he talks about needs must, the most important person you have to have counting on you is you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read that, what I thought about was when you're on an airplane and they tell you, if when the oxygen mask drop, put yours on first. Because you try to put somebody else's on, you done passed out. You ain't doing no good. You ain't no good to anybody. Both of y'all slumped over in the chair. So you gotta take care of you first, or you won't be effective for other people around you. Your family, your spouse,
right?
People you work with, the marketplace. Understanding that it's important that you take care of you, and it's not being selfish.
Absolutely.
It's not being selfish. Actually, is being
self-full.
It's being self-full because I want to take care of myself so I can be able to do the things I need to do.
Mm-hmm. So I can be a better version of myself. Absolutely. When I come and engage with you, so I can contribute what is needed without any hindrances. Mm-hmm. And those hindrances could be my attitude, my behavior, whatever the case may be. That goes back to giving a portion or a percentage of yourself opposed to your whole self.
Your whole self. A lot of us do that, though.
Absolutely.
I can attest to that. Giving them. And when I started reading this, I was convicted. I do that. Yeah. I give a portion here, I give a portion there, and then until you think about it, you ask yourself a kind of a diagnostic question. Mm-hmm. Why don't you give your full self? Mm. What is it that keeps you from giving all of you? And a lot of times it's because I done gave too many fractions of me out that I don't have full.
You don't have it.
Yeah, I gave this person some of that person some of that, and never got myself to a point where I can give all of that.
That's good.
It's so important to take the time to get rejuvenated, to take the time. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that as well.
Yes.
Because there's one thing to say you take the time, but do you really take the time?
Do you really take the time?
Yeah, and you do the things to get where you're trying to get to, that place of balance.
Absolutely. I want to go back to when you mentioned about needs must. I really liked what he said here. He said he had learned this saying back when he was a kid, and he really didn't understand it then. And then until he got older into adulthood, and once he got older into adulthood, it reminded him that to put his soul needs first in order to serve, love, give to those around you, which just like what you just said, deal with you first. Yeah. Deal with you first, especially if you're a caregiver, whatever. If you're a parent, if you're a wife, grandparent, whatever the case may be, deal with you first. You hear a lot of things going on right now about mental health. Yeah. It's about self-care and everything like that. And self-care is not, it don't just stop at getting your hair done, nails done, everything did. Right. Although those are wonderful things, because I do that all the time. Right, so I'm not telling y'all not to do that. But you got to go a little deeper sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to have those still away moments. Like God said in his words, still away with me. Mm-hmm. And guess what? That's what you need to do. Still away for yourself so that you can recalibrate, rejuvenate, get back in balance, so that you can be that best version of yourself. That's a need that must happen. Yeah. Yeah. That's what a need must is. When you take care of you first, when you put you first. And another thing that he had mentioned that really struck me in this, in chapter 3, was he talked about the reunion with your soul. He says, our soul is the most honest and authentic version of ourselves, not to be mistaken with the highest version of ourselves. It's not our greatest self, but positions us to access the versions of ourselves through our ability to listen to our soul's guidance toward the state of balance. Mm-hmm. You have to listen to your soul. Mm-hmm. Don't dismiss it. Don't just feel like, oh, I'm just having one of those days. The world has given us all these different excuses on why we should not pay attention to the indicators, the gauges, the red flags, and everything like that. Mm-hmm. It's always an excuse. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, it don't take all that. Oh, you this, you're that. No, I'm out of balance. That's what I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to get back in balance.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let you deter me from doing that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take myself over here. I had a girlfriend that was a daycare provider, and instead of, telling the kids, go sit down or something like that, she said, go have a happy seat. So when the kids go home and ask the parents, tell their parents, well, Miss Monica said, go have a happy seat. I'm telling you, when you feel like this, when your soul is like red light, the alerts are on and things like that, go have yourself a happy seat and get yourself together, okay?
Get yourself together.
That's for me too, y'all.
Yeah, it's important not to ignore when you're feeling unsettled, when you're not feeling comfortable about something.
Yes.
And what we have a tendency to do is just press through it.
Absolutely.
This will pass. And if you don't deal with something, it's not going to go away. It's going to stay there. And I like what he says when he says discomfort is very often an opportunity for growth.
Yes.
When we identify what's causing us this discomfort, there's an opportunity for growth. And I shared a post last week that discomfort was an opportunity for healing for me. I got healing and I got growth out of it.
Yeah.
And progress, if you would just learn to listen to it, discern what it's trying to tell you, and respond accordingly. That's what we really have to do. And sometimes it's Holy Spirit saying, hey, look, you need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would ignore it. I would hear it, but ignore it and keep pressing through. I'll be okay. And next thing you know, I'm all out of whack, all out of balance. Yeah.
I like that, what you said, that discomfort. That discomfort always has us shrinking back. This isn't comfortable. I don't like how this feels. I don't like where this is going. So guess what? I'm not going to do that. Not realizing.
Don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's a cousin of confrontation. They cousins. They hang out together. And when people see them coming, they go the other way. I don't want to be this. I want to be comfortable at all times.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's okay to be comfortable, but it's not okay to stay there. We are supposed to go from glory to glory. We're supposed to grow. We're supposed to move forward. And he even says that with the quote that he started out in this chapter by Abraham Maslow, which says one can choose to go back toward safety or forward toward growth. Which one you gonna do?
Yeah.
Which one you gonna do?
Yeah.
And I mean, because the world that we live in is always moving forward. And then now it's moving at an accelerated speed because of technology. So we can't shy away from it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta, because life is not going to stop and be like, oh, Alicia don't want to do that. This is uncomfortable for her. So we're going to slow down for her over here. No, life is going to keep going. And it's up to you if you're going to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I mentioned the healing through the uncomfortableness for me, and it works. And because I say that because for the longest time I ignored it.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't comfortable in a certain area, and I ignored it. And I go back to that time when a couple of weeks ago when we first did the first chapter, and I was sharing that one Wednesday that I just got away to myself, and I just went for a ride. And when I went for that ride, it was such a, I was so rejuvenated. I made a couple of stops here and there, but for the most part, it was just me and driving and just going where I wanted to go. I wasn't on anybody's clock. I didn't have any expectations of being in any certain place at a particular time. And all that stuff just kind of just dropped to the side.
Right.
Yeah, and I just felt so comfortable in that time, and that was kind of rejuvenating. That was really rejuvenating for me. And I just want to say to anybody that hearing us and nodding their head when we say certain things, apply it.
Yes.
And take baby steps. Sometimes we don't do things because we look at the big picture.
Right.
Understanding that you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So what you have to do is take steps.
Yes.
Today I'm going to take 10 minutes for myself. Start there.
Yes.
And then just build on it from there. But if you don't start it, it will never happen. It will never change. That balance will never come.
Absolutely. And also ask yourself some questions. I'm always doing a self-evaluation, especially when there is discomfort or when I'm facing confrontation or if I'm challenged in my spirit or in what's going on around me.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things I always ask, I do the 5 W's and the H.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? What's happening? When did this start? Where did this come from?
Mm-hmm.
Who is causing this discomfort in my life? And how do I get away from this space? You know, so I'm asking myself some questions, some really tough questions. Sometimes I'm the who.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's somebody else that's close to me, and I'm steadily trying to hold on to them, and God is trying to pry them out of my life.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to hold on to them, and it causes so much discomfort.
Yeah.
And we got to realize what our response should be. How are we going to serve and affirm the best in ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to do that if we're constantly holding on to something that's causing this discomfort? Mm-hmm. Whatever that may be. It can be a person. It could be your career. It could be whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. God didn't create us to be like that.
You know, disjointed.
Not at all. And I have this one heading he had. It reminded me of my grandkids because it talked about fake food. Mm. And my grandkids, my grandson, my oldest grandson, when we're going out to eat or something like that, and we have his siblings, and I'll say, where y'all want to go? And the younger ones always say McDonald's. He's like, that's fake food. He says fake food. And the author here talked about that same thing, and he said fake food was, he said, the last barrier to the soul awareness comes in a form of things we often fill our lives with in attempt to drown out the noise and satisfy our soul's hunger. Rather than turning to the solution of alone time and brokenness to discover and feed the true needs of the soul, we often choose shortcuts and cheap imitations that temporarily mimic satisfactions for the soul. I thought that was very, very good because we do that. Instead of listening to our soul, I know I'm guilty of it. Instead of listening to my soul when it tells me I need to either sit down, slow down, take some time away or whatever have you, I'll fill it with something else. I think I need to do something else. I think I'm not doing enough. I feel like, I have all this time. I need to be doing something over here, doing something for my family, or planning this or planning that, and my family is always getting after me. No, you don't. Sit down. Get some rest. You already did all of that. And I just feel like I'm not using my time wisely, but I am. Yeah. I'm not using my time wisely when I can constantly feel it, but I'm using my time wisely if I stop, take a pause, take some time away, whatever that may look like in that moment. Listen to what my soul is saying. My soul might say, I need you to go and sit and meditate. Yeah. I need you to go and sit and read a book. I need you to reach out to this person because they need to hear a kind word or voice or whatever the case may be. But instead of doing that, I'll start filling it with all these other things. And that puts us out of balance. Yeah. And it's fake because we're trying to fill it. The world is already noisy enough. And we create most of the noise that we encounter. Yeah. And we have the authority to control it.
I think it's a thing that we are kind of conditioned to. We always got to be hearing something. We always got to be watching something. We always got to be listening to something. And even when it comes to spending time with God, let me turn on some worship music. And God said, no, I just want you to sit here. No, I want to turn some worship music. This is where I get my touch. No, you get a touch. Just come in my presence. Yes. And I think sometimes we get to a place where we just gotta have noise, gotta have something going on. Absolutely. And I'm gonna finish this chapter of this so we can get into 4. Absolutely. Without going up too much time. Now, how do we do this? The person who will find balance must learn the discipline of regularly muting life's noise, to your point. We got to regularly mute, and that takes being intentional. It's not something that's going to happen through osmosis. It's not going to, and you can't wait for somebody else to quiet it. You're going to have to make the quality decision intentionally to do it yourself.
Can I pause you right there? I met a young lady at a speaking engagement that me and my husband did maybe a couple of months ago. And she was a wife, she was a mother, she was a homemaker, she was a teacher to her kids, and I think she had like 5 or 7 kids. I can't remember exactly. But she spoke to me after we talked, and I felt my heart was so empathetic to where she was, because she was so out of balance. And it really touched my heart. And I was so grateful that she felt comfortable enough to be that vulnerable. But in any event, she was sharing how she needed some time. She didn't have any time to herself. She's never worked, so she felt like she didn't have any money for it. Now, she's married. She's married, guys. So she felt like she didn't have access to any funds or anything like that. And she was upset with her husband because she felt like he should have given her the time that she needs.
I see where you're going. Yeah.
To, have that alone time.
Right.
Alone time, y'all. Alone time means that's on you to dictate it. That's on you to navigate. You have the authority to have alone time, even when you're married. And alone time doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost anything. You can go outside and sit in your car and have alone time. You can go in your bedroom and close it and have alone time. Even if you have children, you have to train them and let them know that this is my alone time. From this time to that time, this is my alone time.
You know what? And my spiritual mother told me that a while ago. She said, when I close my door, my kids know, do not come in there. I'm spending my time with God. That was an intentional thing. To where, and then you created the atmosphere for others to understand this is my time. So now I don't worry about people imposing on that time, because they already know this is my time. When we get away, and go, and one of these things we talk about when we get away, let people know I'm going away for a little bit of time. If I need to, I'll reach out to you, but I just need this time alone, so I can get reconnected with me. I like what he says also, although I can't overemphasize the importance of physically removing yourself from the hustle and bustle. Physical escape or rest and recovery of balance does not necessarily mean that your mind and your heart will follow suit. It's quite possible to escape the busyness physically, but not silence the noise, and thereby the gift made possible by the alone time is forfeited. We get away, and then what we do? We end up doing something else, or we start thinking about
what we could be doing.
I could have did this, I could have did that.
Or what we gonna do.
I should have called that person. And just why do you even go then? You should have just stayed in and did all that.
Yeah, because your mind is not settled.
Yeah.
I want to know if you guys tell us, are you one of those people that can't sleep through the night and God wakes you up, or you wake up, or different hours of the night, and then you think you got to go to the bathroom, so you get up and go to the bathroom, and then you get back in the bed and you can't go back to sleep, and next thing you know, it's time to get up. Do you know what that is? That's you're not resting. That's a barrier that's your mind is steadily going because you haven't learned how to shut it off. You haven't learned how to shut it off. And my therapist, again, back to my therapy, she shared with me different things that contribute to that. Your mind is so stimulated because of what you did before you laid down.
That's good. Yeah.
Whether it is looking at TV, whether it's talking on the phone, social media scrolling, whatever the case may be, your mind can't settle because you had depleted yourself. Your time management is all out of whack.
Kelly said, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, Kelly, I'm telling you, it's me. So what I'm learning to do to shut myself down is really prioritize the different tasks that I may have and put them in proper perspective, because I was one of those people that would just sit up in the middle of the night, and I've been planning everything out all the way into the next year. I'm looking at dates, and then I'll wake up that next morning and I'll ask my husband, I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do on our anniversary? Our anniversary is in October. It's July now. And he's like, I didn't think about it. Oh, well, I'm trying to plan.
Catch me in September.
I'm trying to get things in order. And he's like, okay, I'm not even there yet. And so my advice to you is be mindful of the noise, that internal noise, that external and internal noise that you are creating for yourself.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, whatever the sources are, start paying attention to that and start counteracting it, whatever that is.
So we're going to segue in a little bit of chapter 4
Yeah.
before time gets away from us.
Absolutely.
And it starts off with an awesome quote from Maya Angelou. Each person deserves a day away in which no problems are confronted, no solutions searched for. This is one I like, the second part of that. Each of us needs to withdraw from the cares which will not withdraw from us. That means I got to learn how to pull away from that, because if not, I'll let that thing just stick right there, like what you're talking about.
Yes.
You know, I got to do this, I got to do that. Yeah, you have to do certain things, but first thing, you got to take care of you. And knowing when to do that and just prioritizing things. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Understanding that, okay, tomorrow's going to come.
Yeah.
Whether you be a part of it or not, tomorrow's going to come. That can keep till tomorrow. Let today deal with what needs to be done in today. But whatever can be shifted over to tomorrow, let it go ahead on over to tomorrow. And then if it's too much, if you find that you're always having more and more left over for tomorrow, then maybe you're not prioritizing really good like Alicia was. You had too many things going on for yourself, and you need to start cutting some things, and it's okay to say no. I saw on a shirt that no means next opportunity. So when somebody tell you no, or if you say no, guess what? It's the next. I got to move on to the next opportunity. I got to move on to the next thing. It's okay to either get no, and it's okay to say no.
That's good. And I like what he says here. Everything great that has ever happened to me in life occurred when I somehow found myself in a place of rest. And when he talked about that, I want to kind of I'm going to share some of the things some of the benefits of being balanced, getting that rest. Things that brought worry and stress didn't matter anymore. Peace, that assuring him that all is well no matter what went on. Fear and anxiety evaporated. Clarity about everything was revealed, and he started seeing problems as opportunities. That's when you're in a place of balance. That place of rest can give you clarity. Some of the things that you were worried about, some of the things that stressed you out, they will evaporate. And then some of the things that you need to deal with, you can get clarity on how to deal with them. When you're in a place of rest. Sometimes I know there have been times I've done that accidentally, didn't do it on purpose. Caught myself resting and got some good ideas.
Yes.
So that was confirmation for me. There have been times I've rested and some good ideas came. How can you have a good idea when your mind is cluttered with a whole bunch of stuff popping off?
Ain't no room for it. Ain't no room for a new idea to pop up in there, huh?
No, not at all. One thing we got to understand is, like we talked about when we first got on, emotions are indicators of something good or bad. And one of the things we talked about yesterday in preparing for this was we got the vision or the analogy of a gas gauge.
Yes.
When you got a full tank, you flowing good.
Yep.
But as that tank starts to gets lower and lower, when that you got an indicator letting you know it's getting low.
Mm-hmm.
Are you paying attention to it?
Right.
Because when you don't pay attention to it, it gets on E, and then what you find is you find yourself stuck in an area that you're gonna need somebody to give you help to get out of.
Absolutely.
There have times we've run out of gas, and now you got to call on somebody else because you allowed your tank to get empty.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't fill it back up.
Mm-hmm.
That balance, that rest is filling that tank back up.
Mm-hmm.
Now allowing it to get empty.
Wow. When you were saying that, what came to mind was our tank. And our tank has the gauges that we have is our senses, our 5 senses. You know, taste, feel, touch, hear, smell.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, we are so in tune with, oh, I need to eat. So we always want to taste something. We always want to, we think that that's the only thing that we need to do. But those 5 senses, they feed our soul, they feed our organs, they feed all our whole body if we pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure the smell. Think about when in the Bible where they had the frankincense and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You need to create an atmosphere that is pleasing to your nostrils.
Yeah.
When you're going into this place of balance, you need to have something that whatever you're going to see, making sure not just your physical eyes, you need your spiritual eye gates.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that you're seeing the right things. If whatever spirituality or religion that you are in, you want to make sure that you're seeing the right things.
Yeah.
What you're listening to, or who you're listening to,
mm-hmm.
for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially when you're coming into a state of rest, you got to pay attention and you got to feed those 5 senses.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to feed them with the proper things. And the rest that he talks about, he says he's not referring to that rest that you, after you done took a nap or something like that, or had a good night's sleep. He's not talking about that. It's not even when we feel how we feel after we return from a much needed vacation. It's the rest is something entirely different. It's a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And consciousness is an awareness that, when you look it up. So you got to be aware that you need this rest.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be conscious that you need this rest time. It's a marvelous, unique state of being created by an awareness that is too few people get to experience. This rest may be one of the greatest gifts that balance affords us.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take that time. We got to be intentional about taking that time of rest. I struggled with this at first. Before we read this, because people would always quote the scripture where it talks about, resting in the Lord and all this kind of stuff like that. And it's true. We do need to rest in the Lord, but that don't mean you're stagnant.
Right.
You're resting in the Lord for him to show you what your purpose is, what the plan is he has for your life, to get balance,
mm-hmm.
like we're saying right now. So we're not just sitting there like twiddling our thumbs. Okay, God, I know you're gonna come and just take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's going to show you how to take care of it.
Right.
So knowing that rest is a gift, it's your friend.
Mm.
It's your friend. And that's what I had to learn, that this is a gift to be able to rest.
It's amazing. I laugh because I see myself now. Y'all, I would never take naps. Naps are for them jokers who want to miss something. I'm not want to miss anything. I would never take a nap. Now, brother knocked out on the couch, on the floor.
He take more naps than me.
And I wake up refreshed, y'all. Let me tell you something. I'm going to get my rest. But I had to learn that. And especially as I got older, my body is like, bro, you need to shut it down. I'm like, I can still do it. Okay, I got you. I'm going to shut you down. And so it's listening to your body, understanding it's okay. It's okay. You know what? If there's something you want to see on TV, we can record it. It's all we got, the technology, y'all. If it's something we need to miss it. because quite frankly, that rest is more important.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're running out of time, but I do want to share one thing. I know for me, he talks about focusing when he talked about the story of the fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
And the man had, when Jesus encountered the guy who fished all night, didn't catch a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesus, I like what he said. He said, the man then has an encounter with Jesus,
Yeah.
who distracts him from his fishing failures by enlisting his nautical services to help him do a good deed. There have been times, and anybody who knows me and I know Shanetta's on here. She probably slap an amen on here. I'm in traffic. I'm learning. My patience is getting better, y'all. Pray for me. But I'd be in traffic and I would lose focus if somebody cut me off, if somebody driving slow, and then I lose the victory. And what I'm learning to do is, I heard Holy Spirit clearly saying, what are you focusing on? You're focusing on this negative situation. You're going to get to where you're going to get to. Take your time. Listen to me. Turn on something else that's going to refocus your mind. Think, and then the Bible talks about, think on these things. Whatever things are this, whatever things are that, whatever things are, whatever things are lovely. What are we focusing on to get our minds in a place where we're not mentally worn out? Because that's what we're really talking about.
Yes.
The mentally affects the physical.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
That is so true. Because he even shares that about a deficit mentality. And he said most of us approach life and things we desire from a deficit perspective. We pursue what we want, often aggressively, and with the subconscious belief that whatever we are after is something we do not have and must possess. It's okay to have things, but it's not okay for things to have you.
Yeah.
So you got to have the right perspective, have the right mindset, and you don't want to be chasing. I can remember when I was first got into the workforce, I was chasing a dollar. I was trying to, climb that corporate ladder, but I had nothing to show for it. I was tired. It seemed like the more I tried to climb, the ladder kept getting higher and higher and higher. And that's not what God had for me, because my motives wasn't right. My mentality was not focused on the right things. Right. But when we have our minds fixed and focused on God, there's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing that we can't obtain. We're going to get exactly what we need, and then some extra, some that we hadn't even asked for, because we're his kids. And that's what he wants us to have.
Absolutely. But
sometimes we get to the point where we're so, like you just said, distracted from something else. We upset because it's traffic, not realizing, had you been speeded through, you might have just missed an accident. I can remember doing 9/11 and hearing people's testimonies where they shared what they were doing on 9/11, and some people were running late. And thank God that they were, because they weren't in those places that were bombed. My aunt, she was in the Pentagon for training. Thank goodness she was able to get out before it was hit. So some things happen for a reason. We may not know what's going on behind the scenes, but we know someone who does. And that's where if we put our trust in him, like we're supposed to, that's the beginning of our balance. That's going to be not only the beginning, but the end too. That's going to be the foundation of our balance if we put our trust in God, so that we don't get fixed and focused on the wrong things. One other thing before we close, and I think this will probably close up this particular chapter, he talked about fear-based decisions. Fear is one of those things that we all struggle with, but it didn't come from God. It came from the world, and we're in the world. And so we're going to be exposed to these things. But our perspective can change. Our perspective can be different when it comes to fear. We don't have to allow fear to grip us to the point that we are paralyzed and don't want to move or don't want to do something, afraid of the repercussions or the after effect, that it may cause.
Yeah.
We don't want to make decisions based on fear.
Mm-hmm.
If you're afraid, don't make no decisions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst thing you can do. Or if you up against the clock on something, that's the worst time to make decisions. Even when it comes to, especially when it comes to when a loved one is passing away and they didn't get their affairs in order, and you got to make all these decisions, and everything is coming at you all at once. Prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for different things. If you know you're not in the right frame of mind to make a decision, the best decision that's going to, benefit you and whoever it involves, don't make the decision. Don't make a decision based on fear.
Mm-hmm. And understanding that in reality, well, the word tells us God did not give us that spirit.
That's right.
That spirit of fear wasn't given to us by God. So if that's not given to us by God, then we are better to boot that thing out of there as quick as possible. Because that thing hinders us. It keeps us from fulfilling the plans and purposes that we have. It keeps us from moving forward and growing and developing. Fear will keep you stuck. And sometimes it make you step back.
Yeah.
So.
And fear make you afraid to lose. It'll make you afraid to fail.
That's a good one.
Because he talks about the losing. A lot of times, nobody likes to lose. Everybody likes to win. But guess what? You can't win everything every time. And sometimes you need to lose so that you can learn something. Sometimes you need to lose so that God can get your attention. If you won all the time, then guess what? Then you be puffed up, all prideful, not paying attention to what's going on, because now you have an expectation of always winning. Am I saying that you shouldn't win? No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is, just like you a good winner or you like to win, you got to be a good loser and like to lose so that you can learn, so that you won't deal with that again. Because the world's told us that if we lose, we are a loser. No, we're not. We are a learner. Because now that we lost, and if we paid attention to what happened during that loss, guess what? We won't lose that again.
True. And also not being fearful to step out and try.
Yes.
Fear will keep you from moving forward and not trying or attempting to do something, because you start thinking, well, what if this happens? Well, what if that happens? What if it does? Then the right perspective is, and most successful people can tell you this, when they stepped out on something and it didn't work, they learned from that and did it differently the next time. And I think we don't look at it from that perspective.
Yes.
We looked at it from a perspective, if I do that, this will happen. Yeah, and then I might learn from that and won't do that again.
Right.
So that's how we ought to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the quotes that he had mentioned in his book, he said, you will never experience a loss without the opportunity to learn a lesson. Losses, if processed properly, are one of the greatest forerunners of success. Failure, if you can escape the looming dark cloud of the sense of inadequacy, can set you up for mastery. We need the vital streams of loss and failure in order to make up our ocean of wisdom and expertise. Often the very thing we believe to be working against us is actually working for us if we choose to change our perspective.
Amen.
So you see, when it comes to losing, like I said, there's always going to be somebody that's going to win, somebody's going to lose. It's how you lose. It doesn't mean that you're a loser. It doesn't mean that that's the end of the story. Guess what? That's going to set you up. People that are successful, they didn't get it on the first try, y'all.
Yeah.
I thought they did too. I really did. But now, walking the walk myself in different arenas, I'm noticing that if I fail at something, if I fall short at it, then I go back to the Creator, go back to where wisdom is. For me, it's God. So I go back to Him and I say, okay, what did I miss, Lord? What do I need to do differently? show me how to deal with this. Give me the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in this area because I don't know.
Amen.
And it's okay to say you don't know.
Yep.
That's how you get balance too. Admit, be aware of the things that you don't know, that you may be lacking, and then find a way to bring balance to it. Y'all like how I put that bow on there?
You threw that balance in.
I threw that on
Tied
there.
it right on. Is it?
Boom. Nice little. We thank you guys
Appreciate
so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, indeed.
We will, like I said, we will be doing another one this week, either Thursday or Friday. We will keep you posted on it. We will be talking about chapters. Actually, we'll be getting into part 2 of the book, which is Restoring Balance. So we will be dealing with chapters 5, 6, and 7.
So I think we only got maybe two more videos to do, right? Two more
Yes,
live ones?
we got 2 more live videos to do. But guess what? We're going to always be talking about this balance. We may be writing some blogs about this balance, and we want to hear from you. Any questions that you may have about it? If you haven't gotten this book, I hope that we encouraged you to get it. This is an awesome book. God has truly blessed him to give us a different perspective about balance. So this is one of those books that will keep on giving for you.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So with that, let everybody have a blessed evening. Thank you again. God bless you.
God bless you guys. Till next time. Down the bottom.